And away we go. It's the DFS Early Bird presented by Awesemo.com. Dan Strafford, Dave Lockren along with you on this Wednesday morning. We're going to talk about the 4-game early slate. As always, tons of content available over at Awesemo.com for the all day, for the night slate, and the early as well. Projections and lineup builder for you subscribers. Live shows throughout the day over on YouTube. You get Adam, you get Dave on the deep dive, and so much more. So head on over to Awesemo.com. Use that promo code EARLYBIRD, one word, to get yourself 50% off. Dave, how you doing this morning?
A lot better than the Phillies bullpen. What fucking garbage that is, man. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. We can pretend it's morning, or we can pretend it's 10:50. And the Phillies just gave up 3 runs in the top of the 10th after having a 6-5 lead in the bottom or the top of the 9th with 2 outs, and Victor Robles hits a game-tying home run. What a joke!
Who was that off of? Robertson or?
No, Ramos.
Ramos, okay.
And then Alvarez comes out and just just make sure that we can't win this game. He was very adamant about that. We will not win.
I will say this. I do not discount your displeasure with the Phillies bullpen, but I feel like that is an ongoing problem for a large majority of Major League Baseball teams as the season begins. You see the Nationals bringing in Bud Norris because their bullpen's been so bad, and this is game obviously Phillies and Nats here. But there's a lot going on. You have Zach Britton struggling for the Yankees. There are a lot of teams that have struggles in the bullpen, struggles on the mound. Some of these aces have struggled early on. So it's been tough wading through exactly what we're going to get each and every night. On Tuesday, you got the DeGrom getting beat up by, of all teams, the Minnesota Twins. So it's been a fun one to start. We have 4 games on this early slate, and we're going to analyze this with 4 games all being in the mix. There is possibility of weather in Chicago, possibility of weather in Colorado. This could make this all a moot point, but we're going to look at this quickly here, go through the pitching slate, and then talk about some hitters as we roll on. It is a short one, but there is some very solid pitching options here across all price points. Trevor Bauer at the top, Glass now at 9,700. Matt Boyd is 8,700 and stands out against a Cleveland team that has struggled. You have Rodriguez against San Diego, and we go on from there. As you look across 8 pitchers here, starting options from 11K down to 6K, what's your first reaction to what we have available to us and where you might think all signs point to when you go to lineup construct for Wednesday afternoon?
I think it's a really strong pitching slate for 4 games. There's a lot to like. I mean, from the top to, I don't want to say all the way to the bottom, but there's a good amount here, man. I like this quite a bit. We can start with the top, though, and obviously with Bauer, he's been phenomenal. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins a Cy Young this year. Really wouldn't. Especially with how Chris Sale looks. Pitching's been real weird to start the season, by the way, right? Like, Nola's looked terrible. Sale's velocity was back up, and he still got beat up. God, it's been strange. DeGrom got murdered today. Strasburg gave up 6 runs in 4 innings. Kluber, what was it, last start from Kluber? He just got destroyed. I don't know. It feels like, and it might just be because I'm pinpointing those starts, but it feels like a lot of really good pitchers have gotten beat the hell up. But anyway, Bauer's just phenomenal, and I love this matchup with Detroit. Pretty neutral park. If you want to pay for him, I have no problem doing it. And the crazy thing is, let's talk about Glass now. I've been pretty high on this guy for a while, and he made me look bad for a couple of years there because he pitched really poorly. He throws hard. He has good stuff. He obviously struggled with his command. He walked a lot of batters, and because he's 18 feet tall, he gave up a lot of stolen bases as well. But he really appears to have locked it down. He even pitched out of the bullpen a little bit. But he comes to Tampa and just looks like a different pitcher. You've got him throwing 97 as a starter. He has a changeup, Dan. He has a curve, pitches that is using a decent. Well, he's really fastball curveball, but you would like to see him mix in a third pitch fortunately, the curve is a decent enough pitch. The question is whether or not you can pay that much for him. I do think the strikeouts will be there. So if we're looking, just in terms of will we get enough strikeouts here, I think the answer is probably going to be yes. Do you want to pay that much for him? That's a different question, and it's a tough one to answer. On the season, the White Sox where are they in strikeouts? 13th, 22.9% against righties. But if you were to take that back since the start of 2018, my guess, Dan, is that they're a little bit higher. Let's see. Yeah, third highest in the league. No surprise there. It's an interesting spot for Glass now, and I get scared to pay for him for one reason. How many pitches is he going to throw?
Yep.
He went 5 innings and 77 pitches, 6 innings, 82, which is pretty efficient. Like, he should be able to go 100 pitches. If he did, he'd be getting 7, 8 innings. So there's that, but the price is up there. Now, the guy I really want to talk about here, and I'm sure you knew this was coming, is Matt Boyd.
Mm-hmm.
I filled in on a Sirius XM show with Craig Mish, and they do over under segment, and the one was, will Matthew Boyd get 150 strikeouts this season? So I'll do one better. He'll get 200 strikeouts. And I think that may have taken him back a bit. He may, I think, oh God, that was shortly after I had touted Gaussman as my favorite pitcher on the slate over Jack Flaherty. And as a season-long guy, I don't think he loved that. Hey, Gaussman was good though. But this DFS is totally different. So we look at it from an entirely different angle. In seasonal, you aren't chomping at the bit to get Kevin Gaussman on your team. In daily, it's different. But Matt Boyd already has 23 punch-outs in 11 innings.
Yep.
And it's not just about the fact that he's got a lot of strikeouts already, but he's made adjustments, and he's made adjustments that I think will actually help him considerably going forward. The slider has been very good. He's getting a ridiculous amount of swings and misses on it. And his fastball, despite not being a high 90s fastball, is still getting a lot of swings and misses, and he's painting corners with it too. So is it a bit expensive? 8,700 on Matt Boyd? Yeah, but I have no problem with him here, and I will probably have a decent amount of Matt Boyd because I believe that what we're seeing is real.
I'm right there with you when I opened up this slate, and yeah, it's a 4-game slate, so it doesn't take long to scroll through, but Boyd's the kind of guy that has proven himself with these first 2 games to have this upside. 8,700 feels expensive if you take the player's name with it, right? If you can divorce the player's name from what we've seen thus far and divorce the player's name from the matchup, and I've talked about this a bit, and yes, I get it, that the Cleveland Indians have some upside and they have some players on the squad that are going to have some bigger games. But again, against lefties, and this is a small sample size on the year, 38.4% K rate. And that's not to be ignored. I know it's small, but Boyd was the first name I sought out here and was the guy that I thought I'd probably have the most of, even at 8,700. The way DK's been pricing, pitching's been priced up. And I think we're all starting to realize that, and we're starting to see also the lower end of hitting priced up as well. So you're going to have to make choices on a Boyd. I like him a lot here. I think 8,700 is a fine price. You get Rodriguez against San Diego, Derek Rodriguez, that is, against San Diego here in Oracle Park. I keep saying AT&T. It's going to take me a while to remember that is now Oracle Park.
Yeah, me too.
As the Golden State Warriors shut down Oracle Arena, which is not to be confused, though it is in the same general metroplex area. The Derek Rodriguez and I had it. I looked it up. Margevicius. Good job. Yeah, Nick Margevicius, who's a Jersey guy. He's from Lawrenceville. Yeah, he went to Rider, which I did not know until just looking him up on Baseball Reference. For those of you not from New Jersey, you have no idea what Rider University is, but that's fine. This matchup also screams a spot where these pitchers could be in good spots. We talk about Oracle, formerly AT&T, as being a great pitcher's park. These two offenses have some struggles at times. You also have Gausman, who you made mention of, but he's in Coors Field. And then Reynaldo Lopez, who has some upside at times. Don't think he does here, but is your final pitcher. So as you said, a good pitcher slate. Do you see either Rodriguez or Nick here, Markovicius, as a potential play along with Matt Boyd on the slate?
So you have Coors Field, of course, and then you have Markovicius at Oracle. I like AT&T better, but
So
what
do
are
I.
we gonna do?
So do I.
I feel like with Markovicius, you really are paying too much at 7,300. It's just too much. I don't think I can go there. I really don't. It's a good park, of course, but when you consider that the Giants already don't strike out much against lefties, and already and Markovich is not going to get many strikeouts, I'd have a tougher time getting there. Like, I honestly think, I am certainly not a big Reynaldo Lopez fan, but you might even be better just going all the way down to the bottom with him. Also, I guess we could talk about Derek Rodriguez for a second. I am not high on Derek Rodriguez.
I just want to clip that as
Not
I'm not
high.
high.
Yeah, I definitely paused way too long. I was waiting for something to load. I wanted to see the implied totals, and I took a bit of a long pause. Yeah, I am not high on Derek Rodriguez. There, you get it twice if you need it. But the implied total here is 3.8 for both teams, for the Giants and for the Padres. Get this. We don't have totals yet for Colorado or Atlanta, but here are your other implied run totals for the slate, Dan. Detroit 3.3 against Bauer. Chicago White Sox 3.6 against Glasnow. Cleveland 3.8 against Boyd. San Diego 3.8 against Rodriguez, and San Francisco 3.8 against Markovicius. So, oh, I'm sorry. And Tampa Bay 4.5 against Reynaldo Lopez. So if you could guess outside of Coors, which team's probably going to be pretty popular? My guess, you're going to see a lot of Tampa Bay bats against Reynaldo Lopez. He's not good. He's not terrible. I would like to see the amount of right-handed bats in this lineup, because that could make it a little bit more interesting for Reynaldo Lopez. If he happens to be, okay, so let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. They'll probably have 4 or 5 lefties, but we'll pay attention to that and see how it goes. I just think, when it's going to be loading up on Coors and then probably Chicago, it might give you Tampa Bay. It might give you an opportunity just to get different on a really small slate. And then with Kevin Gausman, just talk about him for a quick second here. He is always prone to getting blown up, but Gausman does have good stuff. Now, one big thing here would be, is Tyler Flowers? Did Tyler Flowers, was he back in the lineup today? I think, yes, he was. Tyler Flowers is back. I couldn't remember. That's really important for Gausman. Like, you don't want Alex Jackson behind the mound for Gausman. For him, having a good framing and game calling catcher makes a huge difference. So if you have Flowers behind the dish, it might not be the craziest thing. And of course, the reason I say that is because Gausman does not throw a curveball. He is going to use, you know what? Let me ask you this. How much we know the curveball is affected quite a bit. How much do you think the splitter is going to be affected at Coors?
I haven't seen that as much. I haven't seen a study on that nearly as much. I would assume it is a vertical break. It has somewhat more of a horizontal break to it, but it should have a similar problem.
I think so.
But the one thing is, if thrown properly, it's a rotation issue, right? So probably less so than a curveball, but more so than a slider or a cutter would be my guess. Like, if I had to guess through it, I haven't seen a specific splitter/sinker problem at Coors Field, but that's worth at least researching a little further.
Yeah, I think so too. But Coors Field, you can only imagine how popular it's going to be on this 4-game slate. It's hard for me to advocate going to anybody from this game. Pitchers, But man, if one of these guys goes off, you're going to get him at virtually zero ownership. Again, it's really risky. I totally understand that. And I'm not looking to play Jeff Hoffman, but you just look at this. You're not going to be loading up against Bauer or Glass now. Maybe Boyd, but I don't see it. And then you've got Oracle. You got a San Francisco game. I mean, naturally, where's everybody going to go?
Yeah, I think that's what makes the pitching so intriguing. We'll go through position by position, but obviously Coors is going to be priced up, right? So you're going to have to make some choices. I think that makes Boyd that much more of a natural play off of Bauer or Glass now, simply of getting, 2,300 savings off of Bauer, a $1,000 savings off Glass now. Boyd's not your typical power pitcher. You have to remember that. So when you're watching him and you're looking for 98, 99, you're not getting that. You're getting 91, 92. He's just been really effective with what he has going on. So I think you're right. I think it all sort of comes together. Again, does seem like there may be some weather in Chicago, some weather in Colorado that could make all of this discussion moot, but we're going to approach it as if it's sunshines and rainbows and unicorns everywhere here. So I think for me, it comes down to Boyd +1 and figuring out what that +1 is, whether or not I'm paying down for some of the bats at Coors, meaning further down the lineup, or if I'm trying to stack the top end of the lineup, then maybe I'm paying down for Ronaldo Lopez just to save the cash. Let's go position by position here, see who stands out. I assume it's going to be a lot of Coors Field, obviously, in this matchup between Hoffman and Gausman, but can't say I'm overly excited about it. You have Flowers at 4,300. Iannetta is 3,800. Posey in Oracle Park is 3,700. And then we get into someone like Francisco Mejia or depending on Rene Rivera, if he's in the lineup, doubt he will be here. But Castillo's against Glass now at 3,200. It probably comes back to the top end of the position, right? It's Flowers and Iannetta and everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, Iannetta against a righty who's not terrible, but he's only 3,800 on DraftKings, and usually DraftKings has gone crazy with pricing on some of these guys recently. So yeah, I mean, I think you have to go there. We saw Walters in the lineup on Tuesday, so my guess is that we see Iannetta today. And then I don't know who's going to be. Is it going to be? I guess Zunino, right? Should be Mike Zunino. In the lineup against Lopez, but you got him batting ninth, just a massive strikeout guy. Maybe if Perez bats in this game, that would be cool. He'd be worth going to at a discount. But aside from that, no, you're looking at a bad position again. And you might have to look to Buster Posey batting cleanup against Margevicius. It's not the craziest idea, right? Because we've seen Margevicius not missing bats. At least Posey can put the ball in play, and hopefully something good happens after that. But it's a bad position as to be expected, and you pretty much just play who you have to, and maybe you fit them into a stack. But even so, you hate wasting your stack, one of your final stack bats with a catcher. Play who fits.
Let's look at first base. Obviously, Freddie Freeman at the top end is impressive, but he's 5,700. You do have Tyler Austin here against Margevicius as a right-handed bat that has had some good success against lefties. Again, Oracle Park, not going to do him any favors. Carlos Santana against Boyd. Jose Abreu against Glasnow. Hanram, if in the lineup against Boyd, would probably stand out as a potential play here at first base. It's going to be awesome where everybody is against Boyd. Like, it's going to be fantastic that every play that comes up is going to be against Boyd. But Yonder Alonso has a matchup here with Glasnow at 3,500. What do you like at first base?
I mean, Ronaldo Lopez did allow a decent amount of home runs last year, so Ji-Man Choi's got to be in play here, 3,800. I mean, like I said, if you're considering Ronaldo Lopez, it's only because he's really cheap and you want to load up on Coors bats, right? By the way, this stood out to me, Dan, and this is very interesting. Temperatures at guaranteed rate field. What do you think the temperature is going to be at guaranteed rate field? Just take a guess.
I did
Middle
check
of the day.
I checked the weather in Chicago. Well, I checked the weather in Chicago today, so I'm going to assume it's in like the high 60s, low 70s.
37.
Oh, Jesus. It was 73 there today on
I
Tuesday.
know.
That's
I
amazing.
know. 37 degrees. I mean, wow. And you're talking middle of the day too. So it looks like rain's expected too, but I mean, they might just call that game. That game might just be postponed. This may turn into a 3-gamer, to be honest with you. I mean, that looks ugly. We've had games canceled because of the weather before. I don't know if I don't know how cold it has to be, but yeah, 37 degrees at first pitch with rain. Hell, maybe we'll get some snow. I don't know, but keep an eye on that for sure. Definitely keep a close watch on that. It looks like Rocky's game is supposed to get some precipitation as well. This could turn into a mess for sure. But let's assume that weather's not an issue. Freddie Freeman against Hoffman, obviously in play. I do like G-Man Choi. Lopez will give up some home runs, and against lefties, you're not going to get many strikeouts. 17.9% last season, not great whatsoever. Those are the two guys that I like the most at first base. I really don't have much interest in picking on Matt Boyd here. I don't. And then with Glass now, I don't know if I want to go there either. Like you said, Yonder Alonso is really cheap. That's not terrible. Tyler Austin against Margevicius, that could make sense. But the two guys I like the most here, Freeman and Ji-Man Choi.
All right, let's take a look at second. Clearly, Albies, Culberson, any of the plays here in Colorado, Valleca and Hampson, depending on where they are, if they are in the lineup. You do have Lowe against Lopez. He's been batting in the middle of that order, so he stands out a bit at 4,100. And then a whole lot of nothing beyond that at second base. I guess it is a lot of 4,100 Brandon Lowe as potentially a top play here at second base.
Yep. And see, this is what I was talking about, where you're just going to get a ton of guys against Lopez. If this game doesn't play, that's going to get ugly. Will you punt with a Nico Goodrum or something? I mean, Ian Kinsler leading off at 3,400 on DraftKings. That's not crazy. And then what about Coors? You've got Ozzie Albies at 5,200. Where's he going to bat against the right-hander? Is Albies going to lead off, Dan? Or is he going to be batting seventh like he did on Tuesday?
Yeah, I don't know.
What a huge difference, right?
Yep.
So I'm going to assume that he's batting seventh again because he's batting from the left side of the plate. 5,200 is hard to get to there. I mean, if you're stacking them, then sure, absolutely, Ozzie Albies is a perfectly fine play. But I mean, batting order or order in the lineup definitely matters when you're talking first to seventh. Like, that's got to be close to a full plate appearance, right? And that sucks. So you mentioned Hampson. I guess, yeah.
Same thing, though. I mean, he's batting seventh or eighth.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it is Coors, but you're right. Second base is bad. Brandon Lowe is probably going to be ultra chalk here.
You would assume. At third base, you have chalk most likely with Arenado. You have Jose Ramirez against Matt Boyd, again, 4,700. We know what Jose Ramirez can do. He's been off to a very, 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 very times infinity rough start to the season. This entire Indians lineup has been the same. 171 batting average, an OPS of just 439. 2 RBIs, no home runs to start the year. You do have Yoan Moncada here at 4,100 against Glass now. Machado against Rodriguez at 4,200. So there's some plays here at third base that might have some higher upside. What are one or two of the names that stand out to you, Dave?
Hey, by the way, is it not funny to you that like Dirk has still not actually announced that he's retiring, but everyone's assuming he is?
Did you see he dunked during this game? Did you see the highlight that I think Mike Gallagher, who I know, Mike Gallagher tweeted out? It seemed like that perfect play where the defense knew exactly what the offense was running and ran in the opposite direction. Like two defenders split like the Red Sea. All of a sudden, Nowitzki got a bounce pass down low and dunked it home. So it was a very suspect play, if I do say so myself, from the defensive players. But nonetheless, he's a legend in the NBA. I heard also that Wade tried to pass it to himself off the backboard for a dunk, and someone defended it, like a rookie or a young player, like actually played through it, much to the chagrin of the crowd. So,
oh wow,
gotta figure that out, young bucks. You can't be getting in Dwayne Wade's way when he's trying to show off a little bit in his last game of his NBA career. What about third base for you?
Yeah, Arenado. I mean, you prefer him against the lefty, but you kind of don't really care, right? You're gonna have a lot of Nolan Arenado here. Um, Trying to look to see if there were any cheaper bats that we can target. I'm there's the, the bats against Trevor Bauer are so cheap that, like, if you're just trying to go crazy, you could play them. The problem is the pitcher you'd want to pay for in order to get those cheap bats is Trevor Bauer. Um, God, Jose Ramirez against Matt Boyd. Yeah, you mentioned him. I was looking up Matt Boyd's stolen base numbers last year. He did allow 18 stolen bases. He hasn't been great at preventing runners. I think it's possible that it could be a pretty decent spot on the base paths for Ramirez, assuming he gets on board. Um, if Johan Camargo's in the lineup, I don't know if he will be. He wasn't in the lineup, I don't think, against a lefty against Freeland, which surprised me. So I don't know if he'll be in there today, but he's 4,300. And then, like, I don't really want to pay for Josh Donaldson. It just doesn't seem necessary paying a premium for a guy like Donaldson who has proven nothing over the past 2 years now. You have anybody else at third base? Oh, I do have one guy. Yohan Moncada has just. I think this is finally going to be the season that he pieces it all together.
Totally, yeah.
I'd like to see some speed, but if he can even keep that strikeout rate down to 23-24%, that'll be enough. You just can't be striking out 33-34% of the time.
Yeah, he's been a whole new player. I think there was an at-bat last week where he was 0-2, went through multiple breaking balls, foul balls, took a couple of balls, and then was able to hit a single to right, where that's, again, such the smallest sample size, one at bat, but it just seemed like a whole new plate discipline for Moncada this year that we haven't seen in the past. Yeah. And if that's happening for someone who clearly has the talent with the hand-eye coordination and the power and the speed, if all of a sudden that clicks for him where the plate discipline locks in, he could have an absolutely gigantic and dynamic year for the Chicago White Sox for sure.
And the big thing about him too is it wasn't that he was swinging and missing at pitches out of the zone. It was his bat control in the zone. So, yep. I mean, imagine what you could do if that was actually repaired, if that was fixed, if the hole in your swing, that would be a huge, huge, huge upgrade. And it'd be awesome to see him steal some bases too, because we know that he did at the minor league level.
I'll say the hole in my swing and the hitch in my giddy up. If those two things were corrected, I'd be right in life. But let's talk shortstops next. Obviously, Trevor Story stands out. You remember when we had that nice run of terrible, never-ending Story puns when he first broke out onto the scene? Now he's one of the best players in the game, and there that happens all of a sudden. Dansby Swanson is $5,000. He is not one of the best players in the game, but he's had honestly a very, very solid start to the year. Another prospect who was probably overhyped to a great extent, maybe finally piecing some things together here for Atlanta. He's at $5K. Tim Anderson against Glasnow. Tatis Jr. is $3,900. Then we sort of drop off a cliff. Always my favorite play against the lefty, Brandon Crawford, with his crazy lefty-lefty splits over the course of his career. What do you got at shortstop?
All right, well, I got a couple at shortstop, and you mentioned Trevor Story. Look, Story and Arenado last year against lefties at home, the numbers were astronomical. Mm-hmm. I mean, just insane, right? But once again, Coors Field on this slate, you're going to have a tough time getting away from him. Now, if you wanted to, where would you go? All right, well, we'll do our best to answer that question, but it's not that easy. Willie Adames batting 8th against Lopez. I mean, that's not great. Fernando Tatis at Oracle Field. Is it Oracle Stadium or Field?
Oh, Oracle Park.
Oracle Park. Huh. Okay. Are any? Yeah, there's Wrigley Field. Okay. I wanted to make sure that there were some baseball venues with field.
Field, yeah. Oracle Field would be nice, but no, it's Oracle Park.
Oracle Park. Okay. All right. Well, what are you gonna do? This is a pretty rough one, huh? This position. I don't know if there's anybody here that isn't batting like 7th, 8th, or 9th.
Yep.
Other than, Swanson bats 6, but the dude, you're looking at 5K for Dansby Swanson. That's crazy. I think Story might be 80% owned here.
I will be on, and half joking I said, but Brandon Crawford, somebody I wouldn't bat an eye at rostering against. I'm gonna forget how to pronounce his name. It's gonna haunt me. Margevicius.
There you go. There you go.
Margevicius.
It's funny. I had a lot of trouble with it, and I looked over his name tonight, and I said it in my head, and I said, "Oh, I got it."
There it is.
No practice, no rehearsal. Yep. Just when I stopped thinking about it, I got it right.
Well, that's when I finally got Fultonevich right. Was when I was like, "Oh, right." It just sort of happens.
Exactly.
Margevicius.
Yeah.
There it is. All right, we're good.
I tried saying it on Awesemo Radio. Before the show, I had written it down. I told you. I had frenetically or whatever you call it, and I was like, I got this.
You might have been frenetic about it, but I think you mean phonetically.
What did I say?
Frenetic, which means
frenetic. Yes. And I got it so wrong. I just kept trying on air, like 7-8 straight times.
So I have a great story to tell you off air, and sorry for everybody else, and I'm going to say it on here about a different podcast I host. It's a good one. You'll enjoy it off air. Anybody who's listening and wants it, you can DM me or find me in Slack chat, and I will explain it. I just can't put it out there in the world to be listened to by other people. It's a good one. And it's similar vein of someone not being able to get past a certain phrase that they use. And it's not certainly. I will say that much.
Frenetic means like
frenetic pace.
Kind of all over the place, right?
Yeah.
So
I think you probably were frenetic, like when you're trying to figure out Margevicius.
There's no question I was.
Phonetic would be PHONETIC.
Like hooked on phonics.
Phonics, there it is.
Oh, I got you, man. Right.
It worked for you. Let's close out by talking about some outfielders. Again, Coors Field, if all weather being equal,
But what's it called when you do like the 3 letters, then the dash, then the 3? You know what I mean? Like you're breaking down each syllable.
I mean, you're talking about the pronunciation,
right? But I swear there's a name for it, right?
Yeah, to spell something phonetically. Yeah, that's it.
You sure?
I mean,
trust you on this one. I'm going to defer to you on this one.
I mean, let me rephrase. If you're saying I'm writing it phonetically, it's how it sounds. Right. So like if it were Strafford, it's STRAFFORD is how it's spelled anyway, but that's how it sounds.
If you saw a name in the dictionary, right?
Oh, and you're saying how it's actually written, the pronunciation guide.
You see how it'd be like, okay, like my last name, Lockren.
I think that's phonetically, yeah.
It would be like
LOCK.
Right. Dash or capital AN. I don't get the capitals, but I guess it's like the hard enunciation. You know what I'm saying, though.
Yeah, I think that's phonetics. I think that's...
It's not frenetic, I can tell you that much.
That is true.
Somebody tweet us. Listen,
somebody smarter and more sleep than Dave and I have had that can give us the answer there.
Linguistic geniuses can let us know.
Oh, man. Let's close it out with some outfielders. Coors Field will be top of mind, I'm sure, here for many. We talked about Tampa Bay, so Kiermaier and Pham, I'm sure will stand out as well. Lefty in the righties in San Diego, Franmil and Will Myers and the like. Is that's it, right? I mean, that's basically where we're leaning for the most part.
Yeah. Austin Meadows, Blackman for sure, Ronald Acuna, Desmond. I mean, Tapia, if he's in the lineup, you're probably just going to have to get some of him because he's very cheap.
Yep.
It will be interesting to see what we get on some of these San Francisco and San Diego guys, more specifically San Diego, because they at least have some pop, right? With going up against Rodriguez, can you stack San Diego and hope that they kind of just erupt? It's possible. They do have some good hitters in this lineup that, you prefer them against the lefty, but, decent enough that on a 4-game slate, it wouldn't be the craziest idea, because really this is even almost every position is going to be pretty rough. you do have a lefty. You have Margevicius on the mound for San Diego, so you're going to have guys like Pilar who just hit a grand slam in San Francisco. I really don't want to pick on Boyd, but maybe it makes sense, Dan. Like maybe the fact that Boyd has looked so good over his first 2 starts. I will say this much. I do think so. Instead of talking in circles, let me put it to you this way. I think ownership will play a massive role on this slate specifically. Sure. Some slates it doesn't. You know, when you have 11 games or so, you don't have to worry about it quite as much. But on a night like this or a day like this, if everyone is on Matt Boyd or projected to be on Boyd and we see what the ownership looks like and it's just crazy high, then I probably won't have any choice but to go with some of these Cleveland bats, right? Because that will at least give you some leverage on a slate where there really isn't going to be much.
Yep, I think that's spot on. And that makes a ton of sense of on a shorter slate where everybody's leaning one way to lean the other and get some leverage and get some separation. If Boyd were to completely crap the bed, would make a ton of sense in lineup construction. Stay tuned. We'll have MLB strategy. We'll have the deep dive. We'll have live before lock over there on YouTube. You'll get write-ups for the night slate over on the website with projections and Alex's grades and the lineup builder for you who subscribe. If you want to, that is promo code earlybird, one word, over there for 50% off on your first month. Find Dave on Twitter at Lofty_D, LOUGHY_D. Find me at Dan Stratford. And of course, it is at Osmo_com on Twitter for the website. With that said, tomorrow morning you get EMAC and you get Adam. And then Dave and I are back on Friday morning right here on the DFS Early Bird presented by Osmo.com.